Lounging, son.
All right. Welcome to the Comic Lounge podcast, guys. I'm your host, Dylan. This is my co-host, Ryan. Ryan, say hi to the good people.
What up?
All right. We got some pretty awesome things planned for you guys this week. Both Ryan and I read Frank Miller and John Romita Jr.'s Daredevil, Man Without Fear. Classic. Go read it. What else did we read? What else are we doing? Oh, we're gonna talk about stuff that we have planned for the plan for next week as far as the site goes and some of the articles that's gonna be releasing. We're gonna talk about Diamond and DC separating ways. That's gonna be pretty interesting. Like I told Ryan earlier, I freaking looked up the article, then I looked up the Jeppy family, and now it's like I fell into a hole. It's crazy. Yeah, but before we get to that, I just I feel like we have to address something and. We here at the Comic Lounge would be remiss if we didn't address the recent events that have occurred. We stand with our friends and our families and their friends and their families against any and all oppression and inequities. As comics has taught us, that whatever power we have a responsibility to essentially do what's right, not just for ourselves, but our communities as well. Our site is compromised of people from different backgrounds, different countries, different religions, different political beliefs. All those things is what make our community of comic enthusiasts so lovable and so interesting. As we speak, there are those out there fighting that good fight in many outlets, whether it being social media, protesting, donating, voting, or even just fighting in the many forms of racism in their own daily lives. We have a responsibility to become the heroes in our comics. The ideals that some of our favorite characters stand by must be projected out into the real world, because right now there are those of us in our community who are in danger and who have been in danger. Black lives matter. Black lives have always mattered. And we got to fight for them because there are no superheroes in the real world. But with a little bit of effort, I honestly believe that there can be thousands of regular heroes. All right.
Couldn't have
Cool.
said that better myself.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, we just, whatever you can do. Like, whatever anyone can do, like, that helps. And I really do believe that. Like, it has to be a generational change, both within the families and within the system.
I won't get too into it. I mean, you were very precise, and those elegantly put. But the system is broken, and I think it's long overdue for a change. We shouldn't have. It's 2020. We shouldn't still be dealing with this type of racism. It's and it does. It starts at the top. The leadership of our country is also broken. The political system has been broken for some time, and the time for change should have been years ago, but this is just another glaring example of why change needs to happen immediately so that the future generations, such as, my 5-year-old daughter, don't have to live in a world that's like this. And they don't have to know anything other than love for their fellow man,
Agreed. And then, my wife and I, I'm Filipino and my wife is white, but, we've had many discussions about this and kids and we understand that our kids are going to face stuff like this, and I don't want to have them to face stuff like this.
I agree.
Like this is the adultization of people of color in the Black community is absolutely insane. I had a conversation with some friends that some of them as early as grade 3 had to have the racism talk. Some of them as early as the 5th grade had to have the talk about, oh, you're colored or you're Black, so you have to work to get just half of what they have. That shouldn't be a thing. And it's a social crime. It's a cultural crime that we have to do that. That people have to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that really brought down the mood real fast. And
all right, let's bring it back up. All
right. So Daredevil, Man Without Fear, originally published in 1994. Yeah, 1994. Marvel Comics. Frank Miller and John Romita Jr., both acting as freaking spearheads for this, which is pretty awesome. I really like the grittier Daredevil.
This is just another example of how fucking brilliant Frank Miller was with this character. From his dialogue, you could literally not look at not to take away from Romita Jr.'s art, but Miller's artistic mind shines through in the dialogue too. He really helps paint the picture, and then you pair that with Romita Jr.'s art, and it's a fucking tour de force, man. what's crazy is I didn't read this in trade. Originally, when I first read the story years ago, I read it in trade. But now I have the single issues that I got so I could have Romita Jr. sign them.
Yeah, I remember. I was there.
And I didn't realize that there's no ads in these comics.
Really?
Like these comics when they were released were no ads. There's no advertisements. All it is comic.
So you mean there's no WWF freaking a Super Nintendo game ad in any of them?
No Maximum Carnage video game ad, nothing. You know? And I was worried, like when because I couldn't find my trade and I was reading the singles. I'm like, shit, is this gonna ruin my reading experience? It didn't, because like the texture of the paper from back then, like it just gave me like all this like nostalgia just started flooding back in. God, this is Romita Jr. at like the height of his art, I think.
Okay. I was thinking that I was looking at the art. This is Romita Jr.'s best work, and
yes.
Like you said, but a lot of Frank Miller's writing helped with some of that projection because, this is something. Okay, let's take two excellent writers and John Romita Jr. Right, mm-hmm. John Romita Jr. also worked on the Eternals with Neil Gaiman.
Right.
I read that recently, and then if you compare the two, you can see that the sequential art in both are extremely, extremely different. You know, in Daredevil, it's like, you know, he has transposed images and like the motion and like the angles in which he's choosing to show Daredevil, even just like from running roof to roof, is absolutely cinematic.
Oh yeah.
In Frank Miller. But then you have Romita's work on Eternals, and it's too blocky for me. Like, why does I feel like he was trying to go too hard on trying to like capture, you know, Jack Kirby or like, you know, invoke Jack Kirby through the art, but it mm-hmm. doesn't have that effect like, you know, like his work with Frank Miller. Just like, you know, just like the scenes of like of old Times Square and how gritty and dark it looked, but then like in comparison to the, you know, the Eternals, it's like way overly bright. Like the lines are too thin. Like there weren't any hard shadows. It's such a varying style, and you can tell that Frank Miller probably had a lot to do with that. I feel like Frank was like literally over his shoulder and be like, "No, how about you try this?"
I agree, but I also think that like Romita Jr. is meant to draw the gritty characters. He's not meant to draw bright, bombastic characters. He's best suited to draw the streets of New York City, Hell's Kitchen. That's what he's good at, you know? And yes, his style, it got blockier in later years. I think the last time, and don't get me wrong, no disrespect against Romita Jr., he's a legend, you know?
Mm-hmm. No,
but the last time I liked his art was Amazing Spider-Man, when he was doing that with Straczynski. And then from there on out, it progressively, the style got blockier. The fluidity of his movement and his characters wasn't quite as crisp as it once was. Like, he's been doing Action Comics recently. And,
really?
Yeah, and I can't do it, dude. I can't. Most of his DC work that he's done since he came over to DC has not been, it's not what I expect from somebody of his stature, you know?
Yeah. And then didn't they work recently together on the that Black Label Superman?
Yeah, I didn't read that because I heard it sucked.
I read the first issue.
But I saw the art. I did see the art, and it wasn't horrible. That's all I'm gonna say. It wasn't horrible.
It wasn't great. But...
It's not like this. The scenes with him and Elektra in the snow, them running across the rooftops. I mean, the way he choreographs fight scenes, you can feel the movement, and then the lettering in the book too with the sound effects. Like you can hear it. I hear the crack when he's busting skulls. You know what I mean? It's nuts, dude. Like I literally could hear the sounds in my head as I'm reading the book.
No, I agree. There's the grittiness of it. It really had a Hell's Kitchen feel to it, I say.
Yeah, it had like this dirty, grimy, raw energy to it. He really expanded, because if memory serves correctly, this was the first time that Daredevil's origin was really expanded on in that way. I
Yeah.
believe. I
Yeah.
could be wrong. Like I think that's when we learned about his history with Elektra. I don't think we knew about it as much before. I know that Miller created her, but you didn't really like know about the past between her and Matt, and seeing him like meet Foggy and shit in the past, and then they had like that break before they reconnected to start their law practice, which I didn't know. I mean, I forgot about it too as I was reading, but it was nice to revisit this. I haven't read this story probably in over 10 years. And
Yeah.
that's kind of why I suggested like let's talk about this book. Plus, we were kind of talking about Daredevil last week and how consistent the
The
yeah,
writing for Daredevil is absolutely
it's always
fantastic.
good. And I'm so excited that there's a new Daredevil next week. Not to like segue away from what we're talking about, but if any new Marvel book could come out, I'm glad it's fucking Daredevil.
Yeah. A lot of good ones next week. But anyway, but like I just really feel like I said last week, like the humanization of the character is just absolutely phenomenal, and like I really feel that shines through in The Man Without Fear, because he doesn't don the costume until the very end, and it's only like one splash page.
Yeah, dude, I love the black outfit that he uses that like they use in the show too.
Yeah,
And then he's going after these fucking guys and to save the kids in the shipping containers and shit. And he's just fucking taking them out systematically. I
yeah,
mean, in my opinion, I think he is the best character that Marvel has in terms of like characterization and
hmm
consistency of the character and growth. Because I
yeah,
feel like the other ones they tend to fall back. Like Spider-Man goes through these ups and downs where like it really sucks sometimes. Like the title really fucking sucks at times. Daredevil, for the most part, if you go back from the history to
hmm
now, there's very few spots where it sucks. It does suck at times, don't get me wrong, but it's
Shadowland.
yes, but, but it's few and far between. God, I wish Miller wrote like this still. This is like the exciting Frank Miller for me. This was him in his fucking prime. Sin City.
I
You know what I
I
mean?
love the internal dialogues that he set for Matt.
Yes.
Like I love it. I love the internal dialogues. I love how it was like a heartbeat whenever like a little blue box popped up and it said Daredevil. Boom boom. Daredevil. Boom boom. That's what it felt like. Like you felt the writing so hard throughout this entire run. Wow. Like when it comes to his writing, like you got to think about it. This is 1994 Marvel. We were like in like the resurgence of mutants, the absence of the Avengers. Everybody like this is when like a lot of comic stuff started coming out as far as like the mainstream like media, as far as mainstream pop culture. Because we were getting a bunch of cartoons. We had Fantastic Four, we had Iron Man, we had the X-Men, we had Spider-Man, all of that kid friendly. But then boom, all of a sudden in the mid 90s you get Frank Miller making a triumphant return and pulling that Marvel logo back down into Hell's Kitchen and making it gritty.
Yeah, and it's crazy because Marvel wasn't doing that great at that period, I don't think.
Yeah,
Because that's
yeah,
after all the Image guys left too. To have Frank Miller come back and work on Daredevil. I was 7 when it came out, so I didn't experience it firsthand. But
yeah,
I can only imagine when that announcement dropped, the excitement for the fucking fans seeing Miller
yeah,
return to Daredevil, Romita
yeah.
Jr. on art.
Like what were we getting at the time? Like everyone wants to trash talk the 90s and say, oh, the 90s were trash. Like they're like, wait, but we got so much good things in the 90s. Like we literally had Frank Miller Daredevil. Like if that doesn't make the 90s awesome, plus like the 92 X-Men, friggin' just all sorts of there's all sorts of awesome. I mean, Clone Saga aside, it was all sorts of awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's always shit though. There's
Yeah,
always gonna be garbage books. Yes, I think the '90s, for the most part, it was very artist centric.
yeah.
The writer wasn't as celebrated as it is now. I think that was I think the reason that the writer came back into the focus, it
Because
was
of
an
the 90s.
it was an answer to Image. Like they didn't want to get fucked over again, so they were
Yeah.
scared. So I think they started promoting writers more, than they were in the past. But yeah, I don't hate the 90s, and maybe that's because I was a kid, and that's what when I was reading, you know. So like I have that
we have that nostalgia factor too.
Yeah, I have the nostalgia factor, but you know what? And some stuff I'll go back and read and it doesn't hold up and it sucks, you know? Or I'll go back and read it and I'll have a different experience. Not necessarily is it better or worse. I just have a different experience because I'm older and I understand maybe some of the things a little bit better. But dude, this going back and reading this, that's fucking good comic books. That is a good fucking product. Every issue, especially reading it in singles, like each issue hit from the opening fucking pages to the end, you know? Romita Jr.'s Kingpin, oh my god, dude. That dude's fucking menacing, dude. The only other person I know that can draw a Kingpin in a menacing way is Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah.
You know, when he drew him like fucking larger than life. Kind of like how they had him in Into the Spider-Verse.
Little legs, large shoulders.
Yeah. But I mean, this book, dude, like, I loved seeing this little peek into Matt's past again and seeing him as a kid. And, you know, like, he wanted to get in trouble, but his dad wanted different for him, you know, which is like story. It's a real story of a parent wanting better for their kid and not wanting their kids to go down that same path, which, again, like you said, makes the character so believable and so real. And then he has this fucking horrific thing happen to him, but he doesn't let it get him down. He has a Daredevil
series of horrific things happen to him.
Yeah, but it's like one thing after another, dude. But he triumphs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the heart of the character. Is he, for all his faults and for all his trials and tribulations, he always comes out on top, and he never lets it get him down. You know?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. You know, you know how you said you haven't read it in 12 years. This is why I decided to read a bunch of books that I haven't read in a long time. Earlier this year, I read Watchmen again. Just recently, I restarted reading V for Vendetta, because I'll tell you right now, I haven't read Watchmen since like 2005, and I was young and 20 years old, and you know, didn't know any better.
I think that's the last time I read it.
yeah. And then freaking V for Vendetta, I haven't read V for Vendetta since like 2002.
Oh damn.
Yeah, dude. So like, you know, revisiting this thing and saying you're having different experiences with it, especially now because you're older, dude. That you couldn't have said it better. Like I couldn't have said it better than that. It's true, because Watchmen completely. I will be honest with you. I was one of the few people who thought Watchmen was all hype. But like I said, I didn't read it since 2005. I was young. Didn't know any better.
Hey, I agree. I felt the same way in the past. I should probably reread that.
Yeah, exactly. And I reread it, and I'm like, holy crap. What? This is what I've been missing. Like, I get it now. I apologize. I sent out multiple texts to certain people who I've had arguments with over saying that Watchmen was all hype. You know?
Yeah, it's funny. I also went back and read something. I got the absolute edition of the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. And I hadn't read that since I was fucking 13, 14, almost 20 years ago. Yeah. And holy shit, dude. That fucking book is on a whole other level. I can't imagine like reading comics at that time. That had to have been unlike anything coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike anything, dude. I mean, I think that predates Watchmen if I'm correct, because I think Watchmen was 86.
Swamp Thing was his first
DC, right? Yeah, it's just it's crazy. And so like that's something where I got a whole new experience. And then, you know, Saga, you know, the Brian K. Vaughan book.
Yeah.
I hadn't reread the series since it first came out, and when I went to that signing last year, they gave away the compendiums. That was part of like the ticket, right?
Yeah.
So I reread it, and that book's not even that old. And I got a completely different experience because when I first read it, I wasn't a parent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I did not have a kid, so I couldn't relate in that way. But reading it now, having a daughter, I totally get the mentality that Marco and Alana have in trying to protect their kid and doing it at all costs.
Yeah.
And dude, that's what I love about comics, dude. It doesn't matter if you've read it once, you've read it 10 times, dude. You can always gain a new experience from reading
Dude,
the same story.
agreed. Like, I'm reading V for Vendetta. I'm like a third of the way through it, right? And let me tell you, the freaking Alan Moore, this fool is like a comic Nostradamus. Like,
Yeah.
because like even line for line, because you know how it takes place in London, line for line, he says, make Britain great again. How crazy is that? Like,
Oh,
and then
that's,
he talks about there's like quarantine zones in certain parts of in London. He talks about freaking it's crazy. Like, he has a third eye that can see into the future.
that dude's a wizard.
Like,
He's a fucking wizard, man.
it's crazy. Did
Yeah,
you
I
know
gotta
he was
read that.
like did you know up until recently he was writing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I think it's called The Tempest, was
What
the
the
last
fuck?
volume, but he retired from comics officially though too.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
his
yeah.
last
And
project.
that's exactly that's how I found out that he was writing for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's like, oh, he's putting out his last comic today. What? He's putting out comics? Oh, how does this go unnoticed?
I know it's because the industry shit all over
Him?
him. The main person was DC, so he didn't
Absolutely.
go out
You
DC.
you know, did you notice that when you watched the Watchmen series on HBO that his name wasn't even like put in credits?
I did not watch it.
It's good, dude. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I know. I feel like it would almost be betraying him. you know, no, I'm not judging you for watching it, but like I had long talks
It
with.
feels like you're judging me. It feels
Well,
like
I'm
you're
not.
judging
I'm
me.
not. I had long talks with Nick at the shop. He kind of brought some stuff to light to me before the show premiered, and I knew a little bit about it, but like just hearing more about how he got done dirty, I'm just like, fuck, I don't really want to support this. Like, they're taking his creation and doing something that he wouldn't want done with it. And I
Mm.
know that that's the price you pay when you work for a corporate company. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't bring myself to watch it after learning some of the stuff that I didn't previously know, and I'm just like, oh, fuck that.
I'm gonna have to look this up. And this is gonna be a topic for our next episode. I'm gonna see. We'll talk about Alan Moore. I definitely want to hear more about this because I know that he's been completely shunned. I know that he is like super anti big two.
Yeah, because they fucking lied to him, or they reneged on some contract stuff with Watchmen.
Oh, trash.
I think maybe you'll probably feel a little bit how I feel. I think any of the royalties like from the film, I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure he gave to Dave Gibbons. He didn't want anything to do with it. He does
Yeah, he doesn't.
not want
Yeah,
his name.
I read in some articles that he completely like doesn't even acknowledge any of his past characters with DC anymore. He doesn't even like talking about it in like panels or interviews. That's why he's a hermit.
Yeah, because they did him dirty, and because he's always like a big proponent for the relationship between Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. I watched a video of Alan Moore talking about it, and he kind of made me hate Stan Lee, dude. I hate to say it, but
Mm.
I'm like, well, fuck Stan Lee, dude. Like you did Kirby dirty. You know, like it took years for him to get the co-creator credit on comics for he co-created the fucking Marvel universe. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like Stan Lee essentially just filled in dialogue. He'd give him a loose plot. If you think about it, Kirby wrote that story visually.
yeah.
He didn't have a full script to go off of. I don't know. This could be a whole nother topic for an episode. I
No,
won't get.
it's kind of like the Bob Kane Bill Finger thing. You know,
Yeah,
there's a lot of shady stuff, especially in the early comic years.
yeah. I think this shit still happens a little bit nowadays too, but there's more options I think for creators, so they don't have to work for Marvel or DC. You got a fucking good idea for a character, you can take that shit somewhere else.
Take that
And
shit to Image. Take it to Dark Horse.
I mean, dude, there's so many publishers popping up. So many
Yeah,
fucking publishers. Kickstarter. You know, like
yeah.
there is so many avenues to get your creation out there. It kind of makes you wonder, like, what would have happened if Alan Moore was coming up nowadays? What would he have
Yeah.
done? But that's
How far he could he have gone?
or what would we have got if DC didn't fuck him over? Think of how many other great stories we could have got from him. You know, he
Yeah.
wouldn't have felt so burned by the industry.
Have you ever read Miracle Man?
I just started it.
How is it? I've never. I know it's little one of his little babies as well. So.
I actually bought the singles. 1 through 5. I read the trade previously, and it's recolored, and it kind of I don't know, it kind of took me out of it. So I got rid of that, and then I bought the singles, and it's fucking really good, dude. And that also is a precursor to Watchmen, and you can kind of see like where his head was at this time, just deconstructing the fucking superhero genre in a way that nobody else was doing. And I don't think anybody since then has ever done successfully either.
I got to check that out. You know that big collection we've been going through over at Arsenal?
Yeah.
Like, they have whole collections. This is another reason why I started reading V for Vendetta again, because I saw all the 10 issues, first print, all stacked up, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read this. And I saw Miracle Man, all like first print. This is gonna go on my list, but like Miracle Man, like I've been hearing crazy amount of praise from it, and I think we should probably talk about it more.
Yeah, dude, I got rid of my trade so that it would force me to buy the Absolute edition. I don't know. It's hard.
So this is how it forces you, huh?
I do. I'm like, well, fuck, I don't have it now, and if I buy it again, I might as well buy the best edition of it, which is the oversized. I love the Absolute. You know?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I know.
I just bought the Ed Piskor Studio Edition.
Yeah, I saw that.
Holy shit, that's the fucking. It's one of the biggest books I've ever seen in my life, dude. That book is massive. And I want to do a whole episode maybe on the YouTube channel and kind of like show it off, you know, and like because you can see the strokes of the marker when he's inking.
Oh wow!
On there, it's a reproduction of the original pages, you know, before it was colored, and you can see all the blue lines. And, it's fucking sick, dude. You gotta come check it out.
I'll check it out. That sounds probably awesome. You know what I noticed? It's like, you know, like, as an artist myself, like whenever like I do sketches and I use the blue lines and then I do go over with like a hard line and a graphite pencil, like it always looks so much better, or in my eyes, it looks better than after I ink it or after I, you know, come in with blacks, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it always looks better as a sketch. It's crazy. I don't understand the mentality of it or the psychology of it, but it's I would love to see Piskor stuff.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
So yeah, but yeah, like that whole DC, you know, cutting ties with Diamond. That's pretty. That sent shockwaves, dude. My Twitter feed blew up.
Dude, because people don't even fucking really know what they're talking about. Unless you're a retailer, you really don't know. Because I did not know some of the inner workings before I was in there. I was always like, fuck, dude, Diamond's a monopoly. They need to there needs to be somebody else. But now that I'm the shop, I'm seeing it, and I'm just like, fuck, dude. They are now forcing retailers to sign up with 2 new distribution companies that have no prior experience other than their comic book shops themselves and have a huge online presence.
Do comic shops own UCS and
yes.
I didn't know that. We were talking about this last week.
DCBS.
Midtown, right?
Midtown owns the, what is it, UCS or whatever?
UCS, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so they own that. And then DCBS, which is also In Stock Trades, they own Lunar. It's just crazy because it's like, if you put it in the context of like, what if like Oscar Mayer was like, oh, markets, you can't buy directly from us. You have to buy it from like the 99-cent store from now on. Like, that's a competitor.
That's dumb. Yeah.
That's a fucking competitor. I just don't understand the mindset. We are going through a pandemic, and our country is being torn apart with fucking protests and fucking all this other shit, and you decide now is the time to fucking announce that you're leaving Diamond? Like, okay, yeah, maybe, you know, I get it. It's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? There's more important issues going on in the world. Don't get me wrong. But you just see it has to be about money. This is a half-baked thought, and they just fucking decide to do it with no fucking warning. And then they give the retailers a week to set up this new shit. It's going to cost them more money in shipping because now instead of all of their stuff coming at once, it's coming from 2 different companies. That's number one. Number 2, DC's books are being released on Tuesdays as opposed to everybody else, which is on Wednesday.
Wait,
That,
I didn't know that.
yeah, so that's creating more work for the comic book shops. And now how do they schedule where they had their set schedules because they've had a
Wednesday.
system in place? You know what I mean? Now you have to schedule people differently because you don't know when these new shipments are going to come from for DC Comics, you know? It's just as a DC fan, you know me. I've always
Hmm.
been more DC than Marvel. I love Marvel too, but DC's always been my first love,
Yeah.
and it sucks. It sucks for me the way that they're doing this. It just doesn't fucking makes any sense. If you want to start up a new distribution, cool, that's fine. But now's not the time to do it. Now is not the time to invest in these companies that have no experience other than you wanted your books out there during a fucking pandemic. So you're like, oh, look at these two new distribution companies. And they in the beginning they tried to hide it. And
Yeah.
all it took was fucking Rich Johnson from Bleeding Cool 5 minutes to fucking research and find out that it's comic book stores.
I didn't know. I didn't know Midtown had pull like that though. That's pretty big to become like to go from comic retailer to comic distributor.
Dude, Midtown is huge in New York, bro. They have
Oh shit!
warehouses of shit. They have a
Looks
huge.
like we got looks like we got to go to Midtown and check this out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to support them, dude. I'd rather go to
Damn.
the. I'd rather go to the store Heroes. They do Heroes Con in North Carolina, dude.
Uh-huh.
Now that's a place you want to go. They have fucking like it almost looks like an airplane hangar, full of
Die.
long boxes. They showed this collection and they had a tour of the fucking warehouse, and dude, pallets. There was two pallets that was just one person's collection that they just bought. Two fucking
Jesus.
pallets of long boxes.
That's
That
ridiculous.
yeah, that's where I want to go. I want to go fucking quarter bin diving. I want to fucking dive through some fucking boxes and just like start pulling out some shit. I don't even care if it's in good condition.
Yeah.
I want to see that shit.
I want to see it too. Like massive collections like that. I'm just in awe of.
Oh, me too, dude. I mean, I look at mine even, and I'm just like, fuck, dude, I can't believe mine is this large. You know,
Same.
but I'm in the process.
Literally same.
I'm also in the process of selling it off a lot of it too, you know, because I'm just like I need to trim back. I want to keep the stuff that matters to me. Not
Yeah.
then, you know, I've been spending a lot of the money I'm making from selling them, and I'm just buying new shit.
Yeah.
But I'm buying the good shit, stuff that I've been wanting to read, so that way I'm not taking any money out of my checking account, you know?
Yeah. No, that's good. That's sound. You sound like a responsible comic addict.
I guess if you could say that. The packages that come every single day say otherwise, you know. I don't. Lauren's like, if I see one more fucking package come to this door, Ryan, and I'm just, you know, I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not spending money. I'm selling my shit to buy more shit. She's like, well, then what the fuck is the point? You know, like, what do you mean? I'm selling bad shit to get good shit. It makes perfect sense to me, you know.
No, dude. What do you call it? Black Box Comics actually sent me a package. I helped with their Kickstarter, right? Because you know they're doing that graphic novel. I mean that collected edition of Militia.
Yeah.
And dude, they sent me. Not only did they send me that box, but they sent me more comics. Yeah, it was literally 2 boxes. I was like, what is happening right now? Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do a black box giveaway. Like I got a bunch of stuff for them. So yeah.
But what's your opinion on DC though?
I mean, I'm like semi in, in the retail part of it. I'm only helping out over at my comic shop. Like, nothing too involved. I'm not sitting there making orders or anything. But I do understand I do understand the frustration of all the late deliveries and how everything was getting sent from Lunar and from UCS while DC was testing out those avenues during the pandemic. And I get it. Like, it's absolutely crazy. But don't you think that this essentially literally does have a monopoly over it, doesn't it? I feel like the Jeppy family, they'll be all right. Like, the Diamond, even DC is said to comprise of 30% of North American sales in the comics industry, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that even without that 30% that DC is responsible for, I think that Diamond will be all right. You know what I mean? Diamond will still be around. So why not open avenues for new distributors to be able to do that? Like, look, we were completely reliant on Diamond during a pandemic like this. I'm not saying a pandemic will happen again, but what if something happens and Diamond can't get those or push out as much titles as they could as before, then it kind of puts a stranglehold on the rest of the industry. So then it's just going to be kind of like a domino effect where you're not going to be able to get all comics as opposed to just some comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there was a reason that Diamond stopped, and like most stores could not open anyway. So what DC was doing was forcing their product out when 90%, at least 90% of the stores in the country could not even sell the product. Not every store has an online infrastructure to be able to receive or be able to mail this shit out. They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like, yes, Diamond shouldn't have a stranglehold, but like history shows that at least they're consistent for the most part, and they get their products out, and they have the infrastructure built that has been going on for decades.
Yeah,
and
that's true. They do have the experience.
DC wanting to get it out, I don't know. It seems like they were kind of doing a little dig at Diamond because they were told that Diamond wasn't going to be making their payments to the publishers right away. They were going to spread it out over 13 weeks because they weren't receiving income from the retailers. And then I read an article that the last contract they signed with Diamond, they put a clause in there saying that all they need to do is give 2 months notice if they want to leave Diamond. And
yeah, I saw
then
that. That was part of the letter they sent out to the retailers, right?
Right. And then they exercised it during a pandemic, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just seems like DC doesn't know what the fuck they're doing right now. This is my opinion. You get rid of Dan DiDio, which is the co-publisher. He's been there for years. Whether he's good or bad is besides the point.
It's subjective.
Yeah, he's doing his job.
Yeah.
And you get rid of him, and then all of a sudden all these ideas start happening. Then the pandemic happens, and you're like, oh, we're gonna do this, and then they were talking about going directly to digital, or oh, we'll get you buy this now, and we'll give you a code to come pick up the physical copies when they come out. Like, just all sorts of bad ideas. They're just not fully thought out, it seems.
I think they're just in panic mode because, with all the rumors about DC being in trouble, I think they're in panic mode over there.
Yeah, but
it's all hands on deck.
You see Marvel, though, right?
What?
They could have followed Marvel's lead. Marvel said something before DC did. DC was the last publisher to comment on anything. I think the way Marvel's doing it, yeah, we're not getting new Marvel comics every week. At least they're not flooding the market.
Yeah. No, that's another thing too. I was talking about it to Timmy over at Arsenal, and he was like, "Yeah, it's like I don't even know if we're gonna have once everything is back in full swing, I don't even know if we're gonna have the same amount of customers with pulls because there's a lot of people who aren't employed right now, who money is tight and they can't afford the luxury of being able to get comics on a weekly basis. We still haven't even faced even a water drop of the ramifications of all this stuff."
Yeah, because it's not even done yet, and we left the pandemic to go into a fucking divided country. It's like, what's next, really? What's
aliens, fucking aliens.
This year sucks.
2020 just needs to let me out. I'll walk. It's crazy, and if it's crazy like this, imagine what it is for all other industries, like the farming industry, food industry, just the tourism industry is fucking taking a hit right now. It's insane, dude. All of it.
Yeah, I know. And we still don't even know. I guess we'll find out, right? If the whole wearing a mask thing even was necessary. If in 2 weeks we see an influx of cases, right, because of all the protesters, then we'll know whether it was bullshit or not. Whether locking our country down and making stores close and all this shit was worth it, or if it just hurt us in the long run.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's been very detrimental to small businesses.
It's an Alan Moore comic right now, bro. It's an Alan Moore comic right now. Everything is an Alan Moore comic.
It's dystopia right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. But at least we still have comics.
That's true. At least the industry hasn't completely collapsed yet. I hope this doesn't signal the end of the direct market, because if there's no single issues, the cost of trade paperbacks is going to go up because the sales from the single issues enable them to sell the graphic novels at a lower price because they're essentially just reprinting
The same thing,
you know what I mean? They're
all
selling the
collected.
same
Yeah.
product again.
Yeah.
But if that's not the case, who's going to want to drop like $25-$30 on a graphic novel? You know what I
On a
mean?
on a thin graphic novel.
Yeah, I mean the price of comics is already expensive, but at
Yeah.
least if you build that fan base and you entice new readers because it's easier to jump into a $4 comic as it is to jump into a $25-$30 book. I don't know. This whole diamond thing just it left a fucking bad taste in my mouth, dude. I think it's just a fucking really really poor decision on DC's part. I don't know who made this fucking decision. I don't know if it came from up above with AT&T, Warner Brothers, higher up executive. Yeah. I don't think it's Jim Lee making these decisions, but then again, Jim Lee hasn't even come out and said anything. Who knows who's behind this idea? Who knows
Aliens?
who knows how it's going to play out? I think it's going to be a little while before we really see the ramifications of that too in the comic book industry. Just like you said, we haven't seen the ramifications of COVID-19 and how that's going to affect society. Well, in comic books, we're not going to see how this is going to affect comic books either. And
yeah, I think Diamond will be okay. Freaking does Jeppy like own the Baltimore Orioles?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I mean, I'm not worried about Diamond. It's the retailers. It's the retailers we need to worry about, dude. Like a lot of retailers are saying that we're not going to carry DC books on our shelves. We're just going to get it for subscribers.
Oh, wow.
I've seen that with multiple retailers.
Wow.
So
those are heavy words, dude.
They're salty, dude. They're salty. They feel like they're not being respected. And you know what? They're not. There's retailer forums on Facebook, right? Groups.
Yeah.
And, the sales reps and shit from the publishers.
Yeah.
They have access to that. They can talk to them. And they're not listening, dude. They're not listening to the retailers. The retailers are the backbone of the comic book industry. And you're not listening to them. They are the people that are selling your product the most. If you're not listening to them, you think they're going to fucking give a shit about you? No. I'm not sure what Ed's doing at Collector's Paradise, if he's going to follow that route, but I've seen at least 5 stores, one of them being in the Valley, that said they will not carry DC product unless it's for subscriber, that they will get very low numbers in trades, that they don't want to support DC.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is insane.
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, some of the biggest fucking characters in the history of comic books, and comic book stores don't want to support that. Like that's saying something.
Yeah, that is saying something. That's a hell of a stance. That's crazy. Like to literally say, "Hey, one of you big two, we're not gonna carry you anymore." What's up, Marvel?
Yeah. But that's my rant about Diamond.
No, that was very informative. There's some stuff in there that I did not know. Pretty awesome. It's awesome in a sense that holy crap, like that's a lot.
Yeah. Shit's gonna change, dude.
But you know what's not gonna change?
Us loving comic books?
Goddamn right.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. Goddamn right. Shit. Like if I have to get digital, so be it.
No, at this point, I'll just fucking buy older stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I almost took every DC book off my pull list yesterday.
Holy, I barely have any DCs on my pull list already. So, because I trade weight for DC anyway. Like Lois Lane, I told you I was gonna trade weight for that.
Dude, that series is so fucking good. One of the best series DC's publishing. Of course it is.
But speaking of digital, I didn't tell you. You know how I clamor on and on and on and on about Phil Hester's The Wretch?
Yes.
Dude, it's on Comixology for $15, the omnibus.
I just can't read digitally. It's hard.
Oh, God damn it. Get with the times. Stop being old.
I'm not old. I need to feel the paper in my hand, dude. It's something about it. Like, even when people send me stuff to review for them, I'm just like, I'd really rather read this physically. I'll buy it from you. You know?
I mean, I guess.
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to read digitally. It just takes me out of it. Even reading even reading the PDFs. I've had Pulp, the new Brubaker.
Oh, the PDFs are rough.
Yeah.
Like, I will say, like when we get the advanced stuff, it is rough because it's just like, it's just there. But on Comixology, it has that little animation thing where it goes panel to panel, which I thoroughly enjoy.
I know my brother tried to tell me to do that too. I just maybe eventually. If they stop printing books, I'm not gonna just not read comics.
Don't worry, Ari. If you're listening, I'm gonna convince your brother to go to digital somehow, some way. I'll make it happen.
Good luck. You got a fucking long battle ahead.
I know I do, but so what? We've been friends for like 20 years. I don't even care. What's another 20 arguing about this?
It might take you 20 years to convince me.
It might take me 20. Yeah, like we'll be on our deathbeds. Like, dude, check out this collected edition. It's digital.
Probably be fucking holographic by then, where it just shoots the image up into the air.
See, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I'd be hella for that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. What are you excited for next week?
Oh fuck! Are you kidding me, dude? It's Bitterroot is coming out.
Yeah.
Number 8, Excellence is making its way back.
Woo! With that juice cover that I was talking about.
God, dude, that cover's fucking fire, dude. I swear, dude. Carrie Randolph. I'm probably gonna buy every comic he draws now. Without a doubt. If I see his name on a project, I'm just gonna buy it. I love his art. His style is fucking just.
You know what else comes out next week?
What?
Fucking Philadelphia. That's my shit. It's for Jason Sean Alexander. He is to like horror comics what Alex Ross is to everything. Like you know what I mean? Like his art is just it's just some of the fucking best shit I've ever seen, especially in Philadelphia. Like, and not to mention Rodney Barnes. Rodney Barnes is writing in this. Like I remember the interview you did with him. He was saying that he's had the idea since he was younger, and he was like since he was a kid, and he wanted to do something like this, and you can tell a lot of the painstaking research that he did just for the characters like that he's using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like John Adams. Like John Adams is a vampire. Like it's awesome. Like I'm really looking forward to that. And Black creators. Let's push up all Black creators.
Yeah, dude. It's isn't that weird that all 3 of those books are coming out this week?
Yeah.
And they're all Black creators. Is that
all Black creators?
That's
dude.
a fucking trend, dude.
Yeah. So next week there's a lot of really cool stuff coming out.
Are you gonna pick up that Joker 80th? Dude, it's got the fucking breakout character of the century, dude. Punchline. Come on. The best character that DC's created in years.
I hate speculators.
Can you hear the cracking of my voice? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Fucking goddamn speculators, dude. They ruin the industry sometimes. They really do. They really do.
There's new characters all the time. But what makes this one different?
A first appearance where all she appears in is a fucking panel and doesn't say and says 2 words.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Doesn't it just show her lips too?
Yeah. It's fucking dumb, dude. It's so stupid.
Yeah, get out of here.
This is the first time in probably 15 years, going all the way back to Batman Hush, that I haven't had Batman on my pull list. I dropped it. I'm like I can't do this. I agree. It's just not that great. Like and James Tynion, like he's written some better stories. This is not one of his better stories. I don't know. It doesn't grab me, dude. It's like I don't want to read this. At first, I was excited. I even gave his first issue of Batman a really good review, and then I read the next few issues, and I'm like, maybe not.
You're gonna hate me. I'm actually just catching up on Tom King's Batman.
I don't hate you.
I'm just catching up. Like
it reads better. It reads better. I think I sold my entire set of the singles so that I could get the hardcovers, and I'm just waiting until they release. I think there's 2 more hardcovers, and then it'll be the complete run, and then I want to do a full reread. So I have the first 4 hardcovers, but I'm just sitting on them for now.
See, that's awesome. Yeah. See, but yeah, no, like like I said last time, you can hate a run, but the character will still persevere, and as soon as we get a writer that has a handle on it, we'll be okay.
Yeah. I feel like James Tynion is kind of just a filler right now. I could be wrong, but it kind of seemed that way. Like they were setting up, like they were talking about rebooting it with a new character, and then once issue 100 was over, that was when he was going to be off the book. So I'm not sure if that's changed now, but it always had that sense of he's just a placeholder. Like he's not going to be the main writer. Like he's just going to segue into whoever's really going to be the main writer on the book. So I'm just not in. I'll maybe if somebody comes to the book, I'll change my stance. But for now, I'm just not reading it. If I want to read Batman, I'll go read The Long Halloween or something, you know?
Yeah, if there's one thing that's for sure, there's never a lack of good Batman to read.
Yeah, I'll just reread shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree because friggin' there's moments in time where I'm just like, there's this oversaturation of Batman. Kind of like in Marvel, at one point there was an oversaturation of Wolverine or oversaturation of Deadpool. But right now, I honestly feel like there's an oversaturation of Batman. But it's been going on like that for like years.
I agree.
I mean, I'm not saying I hate the character, but it's just like, yo, you guys have so many. Yeah, like give us more of the question.
Give me a fucking Green Arrow book.
Give me Dead Man.
Yeah, dude. Just so much. I want a new Jonah Hex book. Give me something different, dude. I don't want to just read fucking 12 Batman titles. Fucking 4 Harley Quinn books.
Yeah, 4 Harley Quinn books.
What the fuck, dude? I don't give a bitch anymore.
No one gives a shit. Like, have you seen her show on DC Universe though? It's pretty fucking awesome.
I haven't. I did hear that it was funny. I heard it was really.
Dude, like every time she sees Batman, like she calls him a bat fucker, and then
that alone makes me want to watch it. She calls him a bat fucker. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then like they portray Jim Gordon as like this like coffee addicted, neurotic, sleep deprived, like freaking just old man, but like not the strong, freaking vigilant Commissioner Gordon that we're used to. It's a very different take on Batman and Jim Gordon that I can totally appreciate.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
But yeah.
So speaking of Batman,
here he goes.
Are you down to read a Batman book for next week? Talk about?
Yeah.
How about Long Halloween?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, cool. Gives me a reason to reread it.
I love how we always just start talking about a comic and then you know what? Let's read that for next week.
Well, I've been thinking about it for a while, rereading it, and all this talk of how shitty Batman is right now in comics. Good time to read a good story, you know?
Yeah. 100% agree. I love me some Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb also did a really awesome Daredevil. So.
Yeah. Well, I love me some Tim Sale.
But you see how it coincides, like two great characters. We have Batman and Daredevil, like on two sides, from the big two, and both like all the good runs have been all by the same people.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Chip Zdarsky Batman.
I would too, but I feel like he would like somehow have Batman make a dick joke. I don't know why. It's just. I don't.
Come on.
That's just in my mind that I feel like he would make Batman say a dick joke. I know he doesn't do it with Daredevil. Zdarsky's he's kind of like a twisted but funny motherfucker, you know?
Zdarsky's hilarious.
Yeah. I love
I'm waiting for him to come out with his own YouTube channel called, Just a Tip with Chip.
Dude, I bet you if he heard this podcast, he'd steal that shit for sure.
Oh, please, by all means, play like I would.
Just a Tip with Chip. That's fucking perfect.
Just a Tip with Chip. That's
perfect.
Like if I would totally subscribe to that YouTube channel. I would play it at the shop.
So would I.
All right. Yeah. So once again, this has been like another recording of Ryan and I's ramblings. And if you want to hear more, read more, see more, just go ahead and follow us at thecomiclounge.com or any one of our multiple social media outlets, such as at the Comic Lounge on both Twitter and Instagram
and
Facebook. So we're all over. Yeah, you can find our individual Instagram handles and Twitter handles on all sites. So just go ahead and give us a follow, and we'll see you next week for more rambling and more cursing.
Yeah. And if you guys like what you hear, make sure you hit that follow button on the Podbean link.
Oh, you know what someone told me when they heard the last week podcast? They were like, Dylan, you got to keep up with Ryan's cursing. I'm like, the fuck? All right. Well, shit.
I did notice that. I cussed a lot more than you. I was kind of disappointed that I was the only one cussing. So
No. It's totally fine. I'm more comfortable this time around, so fuck it.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see what other madness the rest of this next week has for us.
All right, peace.
Peace. So, real quick, before we sign off, a really awesome and heartfelt congratulations to one of our contributors, Sophie Clay, for finishing up her stuff at Leeds University. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Leeds. Yeah. But congratulations for finishing school and becoming a real life artist and making it a profession. It's freaking awesome.
Congratulations, Sophie.
Yeah. Okay, for real now. Bye.
Lounging, son.